welcome back everyone, welcome back to another week, another day, another edition here of the HomeStory Cup 28 Revelation Retake Group Stage, Group D Part 2. The final day here of the group stage. I'm of course ShoWTimE VIP, with you I'm joined by these amazing players and by the people in the chat as well. Welcome one and all. Whew, it's been an intense week of StarCraft, catching up with all the HomeStory Cup coverage, and we are almost at the playoffs. Again, today is going to be the final day of said group stage, and then we're going to be following that tomorrow into the playoffs, and I believe that should be 3 days of playoffs as well. A lot of content, a lot of StarCraft is going to be upon us. Until then though, we're here to wrap up with Group D. Now Group D does feature a plethora of players. It's feature players such as Trigger, ShoWTimE, SKillous, BabyMarine, and Reynor. We actually did have the Battle of the Brothers yesterday with Reynor and BabyMarine, alongside Trigger versus Reynor and many of the other matches. But now we're here, now we are live with what? We are live with the remainder of said group. Here we go. First, we're going to be jumping into Reynor versus SKillous in the ZVP. Let's go, baby, let's go. We are going to be jumping in, and game one is going to be Ruby Rock. Fabulous. Bearing in mind as well that today we're going to be live with only this event. Last night we were live with the podcast, catching up with all the StarCraft news that we did have throughout the week. And of course there is no broadcast later on this evening, so just one cast today, Bappy, one cast. And then we can bench, Bappy. Let's go, let's go. This morning in the bottom right hand corner of Ruby Rock, we have the Italian Zerg player. We have the blue Zerg representing Basilisk. It is Reynor. And this morning in the top left hand corner we have the red Protoss player for Team Liquid. It is SKillous. Here we go. Yes, of course we were live with Reynor versus Trigger, and Trigger did take down Reynor 2-0. It was crazy, but again it was Trigger with hyper aggression. 2-base all-ins. It was a 6-gate blink 2-base all-in out of Trigger. 2 games in a row actually, catching out Reynor both on 10,000 feet and on Tourmaline, so just hyper aggression out of Trigger, able to knock Reynor down and out. But we'll see how SKillous and ShoWTimE will adjust, as we'll be covering both of them against Reynor here tonight. Oh boy, we'll be covering both. For the time being, standard openers going for a gate expand, everything's looking normal. Reynor forced to take the unnatural natural, so a bit of a more awkward start here for Reynor. This does mean that a creep can spread faster across the map from this centralized location, so that can benefit Reynor, that if he does decide to go for an all-in and make use of said creep. It is an option. It's going to be an option here. Sorry, just catching up. Time to crack, Papi C. Bienvenidos a Icon, Slow Joe as well, Inspired. Bienvenidos. Again, we are getting into our matches. From here, we'll see how SKillous does adjust. As we mentioned before, we did see Reynor struggle against the hyper aggression of Trigger, but again, there are multiple ways to approach this matchup. We could see something more standard. We are alluding to Ruby Rock, and Ruby Rock does favor aggressive builds and aggressive play, but based on the panel location, it looks like a Stargate opener, assuming that we don't make a Stalker. We'll see. Again, typically the same way to play this out is to open up Adept into second Adept, harass across the map, race back home in time to defend the third base, and follow this up with Stargate and Oracles to scout, to harass, to defend back at home, and to build up into the mid game. But there are some deviations. If you open up Stalker, you can actually deny vision, deny scouting, and hide some tech. You can also open up Void Ray as well to hunt down Overlords, to throw down a faster Twilight Council, faster second Stargate, faster Fleet Beacon. There are definitely things that you can kind of tech into from here to catch your opponent off guard. But again, we'll see if anyone does go for any kind of crazy follow-up, anything more aggressive, anything more assertive. Likewise, from the side of Reynor, especially because we're loading into Ruby Rock and because of the base location as well, we can set up into a German taxi. German taxis are definitely going to be an option here. Likewise, 3 base all-ins are very often seen, just building up to 3 bases, getting a 4th base just for Lava, and committing on Ling, Bane, Hydra. But we'll see how Reynor has been approaching ZVP as of late. I don't feel like his series against Trigger really told us much, just because he was stuck reacting and trying to survive the non-stop all-ins. So we have yet to see Reynor's preferred style currently in the mid game. I say currently because in times past we did see a lot of mid to late game out of Reynor, especially in his previous series against ShoWTimE in the EWC Road to EWC qualifiers. They're actually into the middle line. They get 1, they get 2, they get 3, 4. Do we get 4? Up, not quite, but 3 drones go down. It's an okay trade here for SKillous that will trigger a counterattack. Lings a rush across the map to deny the third base, and the Oracle should be stuck at home due to the Adepts going down. If the Adepts are saved and if they could race back home to defend, then the Oracle can be more active. Until then we have Lings. Oh, they slip by into the natural. The wall is wide open. Ay, ay, ay. Not like this. And probes are going to be going down. Getting 2 probe kills already. Get nice damage out of Reynor. Still poking in at the third. Still does poke in, 2 probes, so it does force a reaction, does spin all that energy. No shot he can force a cancel yet. I should be able to. Shouldn't be able to here, but again the base is getting very low. Low third expansion. Looks like the Adept did go down. And again, there's a very messy defense here from SKillous. We're getting messy back. Oh. Once again comes in for this round. Once again, pick off the Adept. Does pick off the Adept. And from here, we're getting a safety Roach Runner. Okay, so that's a 450 Roach Horn timing out of Reynor. At the same time, SKillous back at home, going for his own Twilight Council, Forge, and Robo. Compared to the third base, this looks like a relatively standard timing. I mean, I say that it's late. So late tech here at a SKillous, that's why it's all thrown down at the same time. Usually it's a little bit more staggered here. And based on the Robo as well, it does look like +1 in charge instead of blink. But we'll keep an eye on SKillous. Oh, Phoenix. Okay, interesting. Does go for the Phoenix follow-up. +1 and blink is on the way, not charged. So going into a standard mid-game, but is hunting down those overlords. Does hunt them down. Lair is on the way for Reynor. Reynor still droning, saturating, building up his gases. And Reynor, he should have enough links here. We have 18 links on the way. These are vanilla Adepts. The Oracles, they are here to support. Ooh, and does commit to the shade. Nice positioning here. Yeah, Lings have a hard time engaging. Adepts still trade as best they can. Ooh, oh my god, even going for a massive stasis trap. Yeah, Lings get caught. Drones getting picked up as well. And Reynor, he's in trouble here. Yeah, 3, 4, 5 drone kills. Oracles, they rotate back around, catching out more drones. Could have been a little worse, but still 4 drone kills, and there it is, German Taxi. Does make sense. We did bring this up at the very start of the game just because of the creep, just because of the expansion. Creep is spreading, Queens are waddling across the map. We have 2 Job Lords morphing in, we have 12 Roaches on the way, Overlord speed. Again, the German Taxi is upon us, and we'll see if SKillous can survive. He's throwing down cannons, shield batteries. Oh, he's getting a Bay and a second Robo. This is a little bit greedy here. He's trying to build up into Colossus or Disruptors, and they will help, but he needs time. Yeah, SKillous, he does need time. The army is now coming together. As Reynor does move out across the map. Reynor commits. We got more cannons, more shield batteries. This may finish in time, actually. Again, it's going to be close. It's going to be close. The stasis also has potential. Jesus, that's a lot of queens. Queens, they unload. Roaches, they move in. So far, Biles on the cannon. The first cannon is going to go down. Massive stasis on the Zerglings. Very nice. Yeah, stasis does connect. Bile does graze the army. As the battery falls. But still a lot of cannons left over. Yeah, a lot of cannons still left. Disruptors are on the way. No Colossus. Disruptors do finish faster, and looks like the expansion is going to go down here. Yeah, there's just so many Ravagers, so many Queens. Stasis runs out. We get a full surround. Oh my god. Yeah, surrounds the Stalkers. Biles are connecting, massive connections, disruptors, they now come in, but it's too late. The third base has been broken, and Reynor, he has done it. He has broken the third. Initially, the defense was looking decent at his SKillous, but again, going into double disruptor production, it just took a little bit too long. Took a little bit too long to really get going. Took too long back. Too long. Yeah, with that SKillous, he has been broken. There's not really much left here. He's still got his two disruptors, soon to be down to one. Decent Nova. But without that third base, Reynor, he can just outproduce. He can just outproduce. Keep rallying across the map. Keep pushing forward. Catching another disruptor. There's one disruptor left, but GG gets called. GG gets called, and Reynor, he will claim game number 1. He'll take a lead in the series. Whew. GG. GG, well played. Reynor committing into the 3-base all-in, or going for the German taxi. It does feel like this was a reaction to him losing a bunch of workers to the Adepts. If you recall, the Adepts and the Oracles, they did do a lot of damage. SKillous had a decent early game, but the follow-up was just a little bit too greedy, waiting for the Bay, waiting for disruptors, instead of going into earlier Immortal production and getting as much of a gateway army as possible. So he did decide to tech up. He was punished for that. Likewise, we saw, again, the positioning was okay, but it was just a really awkward setup there from SKillous. You can see the advantage of Ruby Rock is that you can attack from multiple angles. You can push in outside of the natural, or you can push in from the third base as well. We did see that again, we saw that SKillous, he was in a really rough position trying to defend and was torn apart. GG. GG, well played. With that, we're going to be getting into game 2. Game 2 is going to be on Winter Madness. Going to be loading into, this time, a much larger map. Okay, much larger this time. Spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Winter Madness, we have the blue Zerg player, himself, representing Basilisk. It is Reynor. And spawning in the top left hand corner, we have the red Protoss player, the red Protoss himself, representing Team Liquid. It is SKillous. Here we go. As we are stepping into game number 2, and we'll see how this story unfolds here. We'll see if SKillous can force the ace match even as well. The pressure is going to be on. As I mentioned before, this is a much larger map, longer rush distance by ground, more defendable 3 and 4 bases. There's a higher chance we are able to embrace the mid game this time, and I would say that SKillous is going to be much more comfortable in that kind of game state. We'll get there. We'll get there. From here, just standard openers, hatch gas pool, nothing crazy. This time Reynor, he's not forced to expand in the unnatural location. There's no crazy more forward position here to spread more creep. Nothing like that. Calming down. From here, players are going to be building up. Likewise, from the side of Reynor, I'm going to lean towards, I mean, in my mind at least, going for a 3-way all-in, but going for like a Ling Bane Hydra heavy composition would make a little bit more sense. The other option here is Muta play, but I'll be honest, I haven't really seen, oh, never mind. I was going to say, I haven't seen Reynor going into Mutas against Protoss in quite some time, but it is going to be a Twilight Council opener at a SKillous, not after the Stargate. So very fast Twilight Council, most likely into fast Glaive Adepts, a hyper aggressive build out of our Protoss player. Show us what she got. Now, I say Glaive Adepts, we're expecting extra gateways. The fact that we're not seeing one here, this could be, and we're staying in gas as well. Okay, we're staying in gas. I'm leaning towards 2 things, either Twilight Council into a Dark Shrine, into a DT based opener, or we could see Twilight Council into a 3rd base of Robos on the way. This looks like an Archon drop. Twilight Council into Robo into Temple Archives. I'm leaning towards Temple Archives, technically, or a Dark Shrine. but he's staying in gas. It's going to be Council or Archives. Sorry, Council or Shrine, I meant to say. And there it is, Dark Shrine. Okay. So it's going to be one or the other. It's going to be either Archon drop or DTs. The answer is Dark Templar. So remember, this is not null in. It's not null in. This is designed to get economic damage, to get across the map, to give SKillous a lead early on, and we'll see how Reynor reacts. Currently, we do see Reynor has an Overlord here on the right-hand side, is poised to go in for a scout. Currently, there is no anti-air. Sorry, there's one Stalker. There's one Stalker here at the natural, so once the Overlord is revealed, the Stalker has to rotate, has to reposition, and has to focus on that Overlord to make sure there is no scout. But there is a bit of anti-air. We're going to have a safety spore on the way, at the natural at least. If there's no spore at the third, then we could potentially get a kill. Ooh, spore's on the way. Never mind. And again, Reynor, he's checking. He knows that there's no third base at least. So Reynor's aware that something is wrong. Lings they pick in. They thread the Stalker. Nice round on the Adept, delaying the expansion. Keeping SKillous contained. And that Stalker's gonna go down. It's forced to reveal his hand as well. Ay, ay, ay. Yeah, Dark Templar is revealed, Stalker goes down. Rough position for SKillous. Not like this, Pappy, not like this. Let's back it in, we already have the lair on the way. Prisms across the map. Forced to recall as well. It's a rough start here. Again, bearing in mind that this store base is late. It's a late third expansion due to all the tech, and on top of that, we're going to be lacking scouting information, lacking any kind of harassment. It's going to be more difficult to defend back at home. There's a lot of downside doing stuff with DTs here. Now, what I will say is that there are some opportunities here for damage. We can, of course, still go for an Archon drop and try to hunt down some Overlords, but if you can see here, the Overlords have been purposely pulled back. They've been pulled back to be safe, to be sound, and to be able to survive Archon aggression. SKillous needs to find some value here out of these Archons. And he can drop into the mineral lines. He can find some drones. As he moves out, the Lings get ready to move in. Third base is exposed. Without an Oracle, it's going to be a much more difficult defense. Yeah, going for the expansion. Oh, Prism gets turned away. Lings they threaten, but they do not kill. So no critical damage. Reynor's not getting a fourth base, and Reynor has the option to just stay on a low drone count and commit here on Roach Ravager, as he should recognize he's ahead. They threaten the Queen, they threaten an Overlord. Yeah, Lings are in production, more roaches as well. Reynor's getting +1 range, and Reynor, he will soon commit. Again, like, he has momentum, does have a lead, and soon we can just send it across the map. As again, the fourth base is just for larva. Just for larva. I say that there's one drone on the way, true. There's okay, a couple of drones are being sprinkled in, never mind. So it looks like he will somewhat saturate the base. He's taking his gases. Trending up to 75. And we will soon see Reynor move out. Likewise, ideally Reynor, he also wants SKillous to attempt to expand to spread himself thin. You see skills switching to mass robo, mass immortal production. Double robo, double immortals. That's a lot of immortals here for SKillous. Technically, he might be able to win a fight back at home. Potentially, depending on his control and his micro with his War Prism. Oh, contamination of the robo. Okay. That's contamination. Reynor, he's almost maxed out. Reynor is almost there. He does waddle in. Being annoying. Does wreak havoc here. 7 drones going down. Nice damage here with the DT. But here comes Reynor. And again, Reynor, he runs into all the immortals. There's what, 6 immortals defensively back at home. Reynor, he needs those thing reinforcements. Just sending back the army. Causing a distraction. Roaches, they do funneling on the right hand side. They break down that front door. They bust in. Oh, but there are 3 immortals to defend, which means these roaches are going to be dealt with. At the same time, Reynor, he does dive forward, and he does find immortals. He does find them. Gets one. Ooh, Biles connects. Archon goes down. As Reynor does not get on top of the second immortal. No, sorry, that's way too soon. Does he get it? Up. Oh my god. And Biles zone away. So far, just 1 immortal kill. And SKillous is holding. Fire is holding on, but another immortal goes down. Losing 2. 2 immortals. At the same time, roaches, they do slip into the main base. Probes are being focused down. No detection for Reynor. And no detection going to be forced back. SKillous is holding. And SKillous, he's holding on. And this is a nice counterattack with SKillous. He still lost 16 probes. Still lost the economy. Reynor switching into Hydra production. They're just going Ling Hydra. Without any splash damage, Ling Hydra can excel. As long as there's no Storm, there's no Colossus. Can pop off. Oh, speaking of popping off, other Ravagers, they get caught out. Big overextension. Lings, they attempt to run by. They do get into the mineral line. Cannon's not done. Probe's going to be going down. And SKillous is all in. SKillous is going for the base trade. He is all in. SKillous, he retained a bunch of roaches, and this switch is a little bit late for Reynor. Reynor, he needs more time. Oh, the prism! Oh, the prism is thrown away. None the War Prism. Boys are being pulled. Reynor, he's desperate. Again, he's a buffer for his Hydras. He needs that buffer. Archon goes down. There's still so many immortals. Drones, they need to move in. Nice drone drilling. Okay. Very nice drilling. He's done it. And with that, I believe it's still so close. But immortals are finally going down. Stalkers as well. Hydras, they punish. And Hydras defend. Yeah, it does defend. Does clean up the army. If he didn't pull the boys there, I think that would have been a different story. That gatekeep may have been broken. But he's got the boys. GG gets called. The all-in fails. And Reynor will take the series 2-0, taking down SKillous. GG. Whew. GG, well played, Reynor. He will claim the series. I will say that SKillous, he was able to hold his own for a time, and even here in those final moments, he had potential with the counter all-in, as he was just crippled back at home. But again, just really rough openers here. Here in game 2, we saw that SKillous, he did open up with a Dark Shrine, and to be honest, the DTs, they did not really pay for themselves. Towards the end, we saw that one DT slip in and get some drone damage, but that was towards the end of the game. By that point, it was a little bit too late for the Dark Shrine opener to really pay for itself. In the end, was punished for it. GG. GG, well played. Again, it was a big risk, big gamble. Didn't quite get away with it, and that leads us into our next series of the broadcast. Oh boy, okay, so taking a break from our ZVPs, we'll get to Reynor versus ShoWTimE later in the broadcast. Do not worry, we'll get there. Until then, though, going to be featuring Reynor's little brother. It's going to be Trigger versus BabyMarine. let's go. We're jumping into a TUP. Of course, we did cover BabyMarine earlier yesterday in the previous group. Did cover him against SKillous, alongside, yeah, just his match against SKillous and his match against ShoWTimE as well. We saw that SKillous was able to pop off in the early to mid game. SKillous was much more aggressive, and BabyMarine had a hard time against the aggression of SKillous. Meanwhile, in the late game, BabyMarine, he showed that he could hold his own against ShoWTimE. It was a much more impressive, longer and later game between the two players. But what do we have for us here in this fresh best of 3? Let's go. Spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Winter Madness, we have the Canadian Protoss player. We have the red Protoss for Basilisk. It is Trigger. And spawning in the top left hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the Italian Terran player. We have the blue Terran for Streamer Zone. It is BabyMarine. Let's go. One moment. Okay, we're good. We're back. So it's just getting very, very hot here. Again, we're deep in the Australian summer. So it's just opening up the doors, opening up the windows. Oh, we're good. We are good. From here, again, we're going to be settling in. We did see a bit of variety out of BabyMarine last time we did cover him, both against ShoWTimE and against SKillous. But we'll see how Trigger does kind of set the pace here. As we do have an economic opener. Racks expand, we do see Trigger being as annoying as possible, delaying the CC, as that is going to be a 460 CC timing here. So quite delayed, or by a couple of seconds. Cheeky start out of Trigger. Behind this, going for the gate into expanded Cybercore. From here, going into attack of choice. Should be a Twilight Council out of Trigger. Technically, we could see a Stargate or a Robo, but those openers are very niche. So we're leaning towards Twilight Council Blink and towards a Gateway Count. Here's what we're expecting. BabyMarine is looking for a way in. Meanwhile, Twilight Council opener out of Trigger. No surprises there. Getting into his tech, getting into his upgrades. Technically, there are some builds where you can go fast charge, but I would expect to see that on smaller maps. Maps like Tourmaline, maps like 10,000 feet. Early charge builds and early charge timings can really take advantage of smaller maps. But here in Winter Madness, we expect Blink. Technically, there's some like weird Glavid Ebolins you can go for, which are also very rare, and they're also kind of on the table, but nah, Trigger, he does go into Blink, throws down the Gateway, so far playing standard. Likewise, we do see the BabyMarine, he didn't really invest too heavily into Reaper Hellion, made one Hellion, one Reaper. He can have somewhat of a map presence, but for the most part, BabyMarine, he's going to be chilling back at home, building up his army before getting to his eventual, I was going to say drop play, but no, we get the add-on swap into either Banshee or Raven. Robo's going to be thrown down. Robo on 2 bases before the 3rd. Banshees are on the way. Currently, both players are in the dark. Oh, going into Hyperflight Rotors. Okay, I'm curious if this is a fake out, or if we do intend to commit and going to Mech. Again, Mech is not unheard of against Protoss. We still do see it. It's not, maybe it's, I wouldn't say it's a common build, but we see it like maybe once, twice a week sort of thing at the highest level. From players like Bjorn, players like Clem, they sprinkled it into a series. Bio. Never mind. Bio's on the way. Now, Hyperflight Rotors, this is a style that rose in popularity over a year ago. No, around a year ago. Around a year ago in this matchup. If you remember, the reasoning for this is, one, of course, the upgrade got buffed. It's now a lot more accessible than it used to be. So it became a more viable option to go for harassment. It's very common to see a robo. As you can see here, there's a robo here for Trigger. It's very common, even without scouting, to get detection and to get observers out. So Cloak isn't as ideal, it isn't as viable, it's not as amazing as it used to be. Because of that, going into high flight rotors does mean that you don't waste resources on Cloak, you have a little more micro potential, and with the control you can actually get a lot of value out of this, killing a bunch of workers throughout the course of the game. We actually saw this rise in popularity before the patch hit, and then the patch hit, which made it more accessible. But even before the patch hits, like players like Clem, Maru, Beyond, like they were already like incorporating it. As Banshees they get across the map, remember 2 Banshees, they one-shot probes. It's gonna be 5 probes already going down. Nice damage here out of BabyMarine, gets into the main and finds more damage. And again, it's all about that speed. All about that control, getting up to 10 probe kills. Ooh, Cloak does, sorry, Blink does finish. And 1 Banshee goes down. The other does get away. And again, this 1 Banshee can still threaten those mineral lines. Trigger still stuck in home, 10 probes going down. Well worth it here for BabyMarine. Good start for the Terran. Good start. I might have to cut my hair. It's getting a little bit too unruly for the summer, pappy. It's getting hot. Oh, hello. Now BabyMarine, he's getting a 3rd CC. So 3rd CC is on the way, so it's building up into a 3rd base, throwing down 2 more racks, getting to a 5 rack setup. We're settling into the mid game, at least we're trying to. BabyMarine, he slips out once again. He's boosting across the map. Trigger turning everything back around to defend. Back to his natural. And Trigger does spot the drop. Okay, did spot with the pylon. Trigger's aware. Ooh, does he get a full medevac? Barely not. As BabyMarine pulls out. But again, this is at least forcing the army all the way back home, allowing BabyMarine to expand. Oh no! As the full medevac goes down. Ay. Does he get both? Thankfully not. But still crazy damage. BabyMarine has to get the hell out of there, and back at home the CC is done, and it is floating over. But Trigger's in position. He's here to punish. Ideally, he wants to catch the army. And Colossus moves in. Might show some zealots. Oh my god, targeting the Colossus. Yeah, massive connections. Colossus goes down even. Ay. Colossus does fall. Massive pickup. And BabyMarine, he holds, he defends. Takes a very nice fight and claims his 3rd. He claims his 3rd base. Trigger is hurting. Again, just really nice target firing there by BabyMarine. Retarding on the Colossus. Trigger does commit. It does try to commit in here, but there's plenty to defend. At the same time, this is really just a distraction. Zealots do get into the middle line. Damage is being done. Okay, better run by here by Trigger. But he cannot lose the main army. Oh, no! He's going to commit. Yeah, he's going to commit. He's going to lose everything. The Colossus go down. The Stalkers go down as well. And Trigger's being torn apart. That drop from earlier goes back in. Denies mining at the 4th base. And the aggressive posturing from Trigger just was not worth it in the end. Just wasn't worth it. 7 probes go down to the 8 dead SCVs. Ay. As the medevac is going to be cleaned up. But again, BabyMarine, he's still looking solid. Catching up 3 more Stalkers. Oh my god. Yeah, late reaction, late blink. 3 Stalkers just got picked up. Once again, expensive losses here for Trigger. Trigger, again, he's falling apart here at the seams. Losing 10 Stalkers already and 2 Colossus. Oh my god. Now from here, BabyMarine, he's not really pressing his advantage. This is something that we do speak on when it comes to TVP quite often here, but it has been seen quite often actually, where if a Terran player gets momentum, if they get a lead, but if they overextend and take a bad fight, they can very quickly lose that lead. So we have seen a lot of Terran players with this kind of mantra where it's like, okay, you get ahead, stay home, get a 4th base, macro up, turtle up, get into Liberators, get into Ghosts, get into Mass Vikings, throw down Planetaries, Sensor Towers, Missile Turrets. That's kind of the quote-unquote correct way to play TVP. Even if you get ahead, even if you start winning fights, it is difficult to justify moving out across the map. So that should be what we're seeing here, is BabyMarine just hunkering down, defending, and building up. Now, it's a bit of a give and take, because this does mean that Trigger, even though he was vulnerable for quite some time, he's being given time to rebuild. Rebuild the Colossus, the Disruptors. And to still have that back and forth. Sensor Tower's finishing. 4th base is on the way. At the same time, there's a War Prism outside of the natural. There's 1 turret in position, but that will not stop the Prism. Oh, it's going in. It's getting ready for it. Okay, does deflect. War Prism is deflected. Trigger does attempt to deny the 4th, and so far it does. Once again, Trigger, he cannot push further in. If he does, he'll lose the Colossus again. So be careful. And it does have to be careful, as else they do slip into the natural. BabyMarine, he does defend. Defending well. Likewise, collapsing the Colossus. Nova's a crazy army, no major connections. Colossus are going down. 1 Colossus left. And now there's no more Novas. Yeah, no more Novas, not enough Stalkers either. It's nice, both Colossus. Ay. Once again, Trigger getting bullied. Attempts to sell it run bys. BabyMarine, he's ready. Trigger still looking another way in. This one is switching into pure Disruptors, no more Colossus, no Storm either, so it's just pure Disruptor when it comes to the supportive splash damage. Instead of relying on a little more Zealot heavy composition. Novas, they go off. Ooh, forcing friendly fire. More friendly fire more than anything, really. Novas aren't connecting. Okay, nice spread, nice whiz. At the same time, the Zealots, oh my god, they get the mineral line, Jesus! Zealots, they slip in. Yeah, they slip into the mineral lines. Planetary is not ready here. Yeah, there's no Planetary. SCVs are going down left and right, and Trigger, he's fighting so much damage. Again, when it came to the main fights, BabyMarine, he was all over Trigger, but now he's falling apart. Now he's being pulled apart. Zealots, they catch a reinforcing Ghost. That's 2 Ghosts going down. Catching 2 Ghosts. Novas, they come in from behind. They catch out BabyMarine, and GG gets called. Trigger, he will claim game number 1. GG. Ay. GG, well played. Again, BabyMarine, he was playing so well. He was playing the mid game so well, sniping the Colossus, expanding, getting his 4th base as well. But you saw, unfortunately, he was torn apart. He didn't have the wherewithal or didn't have the attention to morph in his Planetary at the 4th base, so there was no Planetary. But also on top of that, he was distracted time and time again, allowing for Zealots to pop off. That was not the first time that we saw Zealots get into a mineral line and wreak havoc. GG, well played. So BabyMarine, he just wasn't quite able to keep up with the multi-pronged aggression from Trigger. And with that, we're going to be loading into game number 2, loading into 10,000 feet. 10,000 feet, one of the smaller maps of the map pool. Shorter rush distance to high ground. Let's go. And spawning in the top left-hand corner of 10,000 feet, we have the Canadian Protoss player. We have the red Protoss leading the series 1-0. It is Trigger. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the Italian Terran player, the blue Terran representing Streamer Zone. It is BabyMarine. And as we settle into game 2, a big shout out in the chat. Thank you so much. Thank you so much to Big Stick Brewski for the Twitch Prime. Thank you, Piper. Thank you. Hope you enjoy the content. Hope you enjoy the casting. Hope you enjoy the StarCraft. Gracias. Thank you. Bienvenidos. Ah. He's got a big stick. Calm down, baby. Calm down. But for now, we're settling in. And again, I was very impressed by BabyMarine last game. Like, he was honestly, again, he had better fights, he had better engagements, he got up to 3 bases very nicely as well. But we also did try to emphasize one of the downsides of the aftermath of him taking a lead, and that was that BabyMarine, he stayed home. Remember, he stayed home, he turtled up, he tried to build up in 4 bases. It did mean that, as we mentioned, Trigger was given time to recover and given time to build up his disruptors and have a comparable army to his opponent. It was still a rough position for Trigger, 100%, it was still a rough position, but he was able to thrive. Just pull apart BabyMarine, go for the non-stop Zealot buys. Meanwhile, eBay block here by our Terran player, being as annoying as possible. Oh! Getting a little bit more progression, and this is going to be a massive delay here on the natural, only pulling 3 probes. I feel like 4 is the standard. So big delay here on the natural base. A nice start for BabyMarine. Meanwhile, we do have a bit of a notation here as well. Because of the eBay block, the natural base is going to be delayed, so we do have a faster factory. So racks into factory into a delayed CC, again due to the eBay. Oh, hello. The SCV does stick around, does hide here on the right hand side. Now this may be for a rescout, otherwise factory is done. Do we proxy the starport? We tempted to proxy. There it is. The temptation was real. Yeah, could not resist going for the starport. Now, traditionally, what does this mean? This means a reactored Hellion into Hellion drop across the map. This should be for a medevac to be able to bypass the would-be wall-off here at the natural and go straight for the mineral lines. That is traditionally the approach here. Now, this is a bit of an awkward position. Usually, the starport would be outside of the main base, right? You'd be either here at the triangular location or at the 4th location, or sometimes even a little bit further back here behind some of the creep tumors. This here is an ideal position for a proxy starport. So typically it'd be here on the left-hand side, just because it gives you access to the main base mineral line that much easier, that much faster without being scouted. Here, you have to get through the natural before getting into the main base. So this does give the Protoss player more time to react and a higher chance to scout. Meanwhile, Trigger going for a Stargate. Oh, okay. Stargate open out of Trigger, not Twilight Council. I mentioned earlier that this is a little bit more risky to do on a smaller map. It's quite risky. And we'll see if Trigger can pull this off. Oh no, speaking of pulling it off, the Phoenix was on patrol, the Phoenix does scout the starport and the medevac as well. And there's no escaping this. No shot. There's no escaping this. The medevac is going to be hunted down. Boost is available in a couple of seconds. Does boost away. Racing back home. What is the anti-air looking like? We have Marines. Okay, we have Marines to defend. But the medevac is, what, 2 shots away from going down. Uno más. Ooh, and the medevac falls. Ay, ay, ay. So there's no medevac, there's no drop play. Likewise, the starport has to float back home as well. The Hellion drop is just falling on its face. There is no Hellion drop. Likewise, we do see Trigger setting up his wall. We should be walling off soon. Hellions are deflected anyway, and Trigger can now expand. And so this is a much stronger start for the Protoss. We have Macfield accelerators on the way. Okay, I mean, we need as much anti-air as possible. Getting to Macfield. Remember, this is not for mech. There's another there's another Rex. So no mech, just anti-air. And traditionally, the goal here and the role of going into Phoenixes is to be able to gain map control, contain the Terran, and then build up and rush into Colossus. That's usually the go-to here. We can see it's not a rush into Colossus, it's a rush into Charge instead. So going to Charge, Forge, +1 into a gateway heavy composition. Both are options, both are viable. And we have the answer. So intentionally no Colossus. Not yet. Meanwhile, BabyMarine, he's stuck at home. There is no stim, no upgrades. There's no tech lab on the racks because of the Macville accelerators. Otherwise, we would have seen an add-on assault by now. So, rough position here for BabyMarine. He's stuck at home for the near future. Oh, actually, he's pushing pre-stim. Okay. He gets spotted. Nice punish. Catching out one of the Phoenixes. Barely does get away though. As Macville Accelerator is finishing up in 7 seconds. BabyMarine, he commits. Stim just now began. And Charge is ready for this. Wow, just in time. Just now finishing up. Lifting up the Cyclones. Gets 1, 2, gets all 3. Oof. And BabyMarine is just going to be completely shut down. GG gets called, and Trigger, he will take the series 2-0, taking down BabyMarine. GG. Again, a really rough position there for BabyMarine. If you recall, I assumed he was going to stay at home until Stim was ready, which would be late, true, but yeah, he did decide to take a risk, decided to move out. Unfortunately, he was scouted early, and he was also blindly pushing across the map. In my mind, I believe he was hoping it was going to be Phoenix Colossus, which, if you remember, we spoke about how that's very common. It's very, very common to go Phoenix Colossus. That's kind of like the go-to follow-up after a Stargate opener. So it looks like BabyMarine was hoping for that as well. If you recall, when he pushed, that was the first time he saw the Zealots. He didn't know that a mass gateway composition was getting ready. Charge and Zealots are ready earlier than Colossus. So in my mind, I think BabyMarine, he wanted to hit an anti-Colossus timing. The problem is there were no Colossus. GG. GG, well played. With that, he got caught out, he got shut down, and with that, Trigger does claim the series 2-0. And we have one more best of 3 ready for us before we have to delve into the rest of the group and catch up with the standings. Until then, it is going to be Reynor versus ShoWTimE. Oh boy. We have seen a bit of a back and forth with Reynor. Reynor, he just 2-0'd SKillous, but if you recall, previously in the group, he got 2-0'd by Trigger. So Trigger took down Reynor, Reynor took down SKillous. How does Reynor compare to ShoWTimE? Bearing in mind, ShoWTimE, he's top 2, if not, I mean, he is one of the best Protoss players in all of Europe. He's up there alongside Max. And again, even in recent times, has proven himself to a player like Reynor. We saw that in the EWC, Road to EWC qualifiers, where Reynor and ShoWTimE went all the way to the ace match. They went the distance. But here we go, spawning in the top left-hand corner of 10,000 feet. We have the Italian Zerg player. We have the blue Zerg representing Basilisk. It is Reynor. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the German Protoss player, the red Protoss representing Sentinels. It is ShoWTimE. Here we go. Here we go. We are going to be settling in. Welcome to 10,000 feet. 10,000 feet is one of the smaller maps of the map pool. Aggression is favored here on a map like 10,000 feet. And ShoWTimE has shown us that he's willing to be aggressive. I know that if you maybe haven't tuned in for quite some time, ShoWTimE, he has a big reputation for being Demar, for being the wall. And for a very, very long time, he did do nothing but macro. He was a very defensive player, very macro-oriented player in StarCraft. But if you've been watching over the past almost 2 years, if you've been watching over the past 2 years, maybe more than that, ShoWTimE has been adjusting his style and has been more aggressive, much more aggressive. It's similar to Serral, where Serral, he was known for being a macro monster and a macro machine, but also in recent years, Serral has started to cheese. He started to cheese, started to be more aggressive, started to be more unorthodox and assertive as well. So both Sterile and ShoWTimE have adjusted to the point where they can now mix things up. They can mix things up and be aggressive if they need to be, go all in if they need to as well. They're a lot more diverse in their play. I bring this up just because I was making reference to the last time these two played in a big premier event. That was during the EWC qualifiers, where they went all the way to the ace match. Like ShoWTimE, he adapted the hell out of Reynor. there were like 3 or 4 different variations of a Glaive build that ShoWTimE did whip out, and he did have a lot of success against Reynor. He almost beat him. He almost straight up knocked him out of EWC before we could get into EWC. It's crazy. Here we go. This is a replay. Didn't these guys find yesterday's stream? If you are this is a live broadcast, if that's what you mean. It's a live broadcast, but if you look at the title, this is a replay cast. So replay cast from HomeStory Cup, but the stream itself is live. And now the Stargate opener out of ShoWTimE. Really enjoying you as a caster, Duck. Ah, el patito. Quack. Oh, new never get through the games. Looking forward to tonight and more streams from a very old Yakov and retired SC2 vets. Ah, Warcraft 3 vet. Oh my god. Thank you, thank you. We appreciate the kind words. Appreciate it. We're fortunate enough that we cast everything, so we're able to like experience a lot of these games. And kind of reference back to them, of course, as well. But thank you. Do appreciate it. As both adepts do get into the middle line, they do shade in. They shade in, they do shade out. In the end, one adept may almost go down. 2 joint kills so far. Link speed finishes, and Reynor will chase. Will chase us down. Behind this, ShoWTimE going for the forward 3rd expansion. Both adepts will fall. And ShoWTimE is going to be stuck at home with the Oracle. They're going to be stuck at home for now. But did you cast these games yesterday? We casted HomeStory Cup Group D Part 1 yesterday. We casted Reynor versus Trigger. We did not cast Reynor versus ShoWTimE. So we did not cast the series yesterday, but we still casted this group, if that makes sense. It's just that the group is so big and there were so many matches, we split it into 2 casts, 2 different casts. So we did half yesterday, half today. Yeah, it's all good, it's all good, it's all good. So yesterday we casted Reynor versus Trigger, and we casted ShoWTimE versus Trigger, right? Like we casted the others facing off against each other. I think we might have casted SKillous versus ShoWTimE. Oh no, we didn't quite cover that PvP. But yeah. But here we go. The Oracles, they do dip in. Behind this, going for a standard follow-up, going for a Twilight Council and Forge, +1 and Blink. Oh! Stasis Trap in the mineral line. Molding Yakov. Ah, no. Oh. As ShoWTimE does attempt to find some damage here and does overextend. Oh my god, the Oracle barely gets away. Does pull out. No major damage yet so far, and the 3 drones have gone down. So nice defense here by Reynor, but a very chaotic defense as Reynor's going into a faster lair. Now, did go for a safety Roach Warren, so if there were adepts on the way, he'd be ready for it. As I mentioned previously, there is some history between ShoWTimE and Reynor, where ShoWTimE did go for a lot of adepts, so Reynor plays it safe. He doesn't need the Roach Warren, but he had it just in case. Did have it just in case. As he's going into his lair. I should also bear in mind that there's no Eva chamber. There's no chamber, there's no +1 melee. It does mean that this should be either a more Roach Hydra heavy composition or just straight up Hydras. Lings they collapse in. So far. Stasis Traps, they catch up most of the Zerglings. Ay. Yeah, nice setup here by ShoWTimE. Is poking forward. Again, no major commitment here, it's just poking in. Blink is now done. Blink finishes, pulls away. Oh, Reynor after the lair going into double Evo chambers. Okay. He's got some catching up to do. But that does pique my curiosity. Is he going to get +1 Carapace? Carapace upgrades are really rare. They're very rare in this matchup. Usually you just focus on range and melee. There we go. I was like, Carapace upgrades are rare. He's not getting them. Okay, makes sense. So double attack upgrades. Reynor's got some catching up to do, getting tilting Hydra. ShoWTimE still poking forward. ShoWTimE throwing down 5 more gateways and going for a later expansion. I was about to say, where's the 4th base? But gets his 4th. Throws down his gateways, building up a storm, and ShoWTimE tells back off. And overall, not bad. ShoWTimE, he bled out 1 Stalker. Look at the efficiency here. 1 Stalker went down for 18 Lings and the expansion. He got the 4th. He got the 4th base, so big pig off there from ShoWTimE. Does back off, does pull away. ShoWTimE is in a better position. And the pressure's on Reynor. The pressure is on. The wall is solid. These Lings don't really achieve much damage here. And Reynor is forced to tech up. As I mentioned previously, we did actually take note of the fact that there was a very late Evo chamber, so these upgrades are late, they're delayed, they're later than usual, and we can see Reynor, he's now going for the infestation pits. This tells us that Reynor, he's not going for an all-in, even though he just lost his 4th base, which is brutal, by the way. He's going to try to re-drone, resaturate, and build up into hive tech. So Reynor's taking a more longer and later game approach, and I feel like that's going to benefit ShoWTimE. There's that hive, as if on cue. There's that hive revelation, confirms the hive as well. ShoWTimE, he knows. And seeing the hive tech should be for lurkers. So lurker den is on the way for lurker upgrades. Reynor's taking up. As we're seeing the lurker den on the way, I know that ShoWTimE hasn't seen the lurker den, but ShoWTimE, he saw the hive. We should be seeing a Stargate, a fleet beacon, a setup for Skytoss. For now, we do see a commitment into a ground-based composition. Interesting. It is going to be a robo instead. There it is. It's a little bit late, but it's on the way nonetheless. There's a fleet beacon. Skytoss is on the way. It's going to be on ShoWTimE to turtle up and build up into Skytoss. We'll see if we can get there. Overload speed, interesting. So job lords are going to be much more accessible now. They're going to be a viable option for Reynor. And they're going to be very necessary. Now, something that we didn't bring up this game, but we try to bring up whenever we cast games on 10,000 feet, is how defendable it is. This is a small map. It has a short rush distance. That's one of the reasons why ShoWTimE killed the 4th base, because it takes so little time to move out across the map. You can already see we're halfway across, just poking our heads out of the natural base. So a very, very small map. But also, the 3rd and 4th and natural are all very centralized. On one screen, you have all 3 bases. So rotating defensively between all 3 locations is relatively easy as the defending player, as the Protoss. So Reynor trying to break these bases is going to be very difficult. That is why he just went into, not a couple of things actually, he just went into overload speed and went into Aspire as well. Reynor, he has to be a little bit more creative here to apply pressure, because these frontal assaults are not going to work. Stasis goes off, or they're much more difficult to pull off, I should say. Oh. Storms, they soften up the Lings. Tempest production has begun. Reynor getting ready with his own Corruptors. He's getting ready. Here come the drop lords. As we mentioned, we got to get creative, and the goal here should be to June drop into the main, to bypass the sim cities, to bypass the terrain, and to dive into bases. It's going to be risky. We'll see if we can pull this off. Lurkers apex forward. Lurkers with range, I believe they can hit the mineral line, so this position can be abused, but it goes both ways. Tempest have arrived, and they get 1. They get 1 lurker, they get 2. And 2 lurkers going down. Gonna get up to 3, gonna get up to 4. Yeah, these are expensive losses here for Reynor. Yeah, they are expensive. At the same time, June drop into the main. I believe that is 3 lurkers. Yep, 3 lurkers moving in. And there is a safety cannon. At least there's 1 cannon to buy time. More cannons on the way. And there's a reactive warp in. Yeah, no recall. There is no recall, but the cannon does provide detection. Gets 1. Yeah, gets 1 lurker. There's still 2 left. Ooh, and this is getting a hand here. This is getting a hand. The Archons, they do race back home to defend. That's 12 probes going down. And brutal damage. Lurkers, they try to pick forward. The main army does hold. And again, there's a very, as we're overextending with the Hydras. Yeah, Hydras, they move in. So many Hydras go down. They need buffer. They need some kind of support here. Oh, speaking of, here come the Zerglings. Zerglings, they do support. And you can see that ShoWTimE, he just shuts down the main push, but the harass did kill 14 probes, right? There was a lot of economic damage in the main. And ShoWTimE, he needs spotter pylons, he needs something to give him a heads up as to another drop, because the overlords, the drop lords survived. And Reynor, he's setting up for another drop. This can get out of hand. Second drop is coming. Now, when it comes to the main army, ShoWTimE, he's almost perfected it, right? We've got Tempest, Mothership, Storm, Archons. Like, this is what you want. And we might just come into a base trade. Oh, Lurkers, they're ready on the high grounds. We have 7 Lurkers. Tempest are moving in. At the same time, massive June drop into the main base. There was a warp in available. Ah, there was a warp in. ShoWTimE, he defends. That's the dangerous thing about maxing out. If ShoWTimE was maxed out at 200 supply, then he couldn't warp in. He wouldn't have the free supply to do so. So crucial that he had that available. Lurkers that move in, massive storm. Yeah, storm lands. Corruptors, they catch some reinforcing Tempest. Oh, but the Lurkers, they all go down. Yeah, massive pickoffs. Every Lurker will fall. And ShoWTimE is on it. ShoWTimE, he's just broken the back of Reynor. Reynor is down to just Corruptors. There's no more Lurkers. How do you deal with the Archons? What's the answer? Yeah, what's the answer to the Archons? You have Lings, they're dropping into the third base. Probes are going down. But the main army cannot be dealt with. Like, there's just no answer. There's no answer for the main army. The Lings, they try to collapse in. They do get well, the cloak gets activated. Yeah, no detection. No detection here. Free damage on the Corruptors. Down to 3 Archons. Okay. Only 3 Archons left. Lings have been cleaned up. And ShoWTimE is reinforcing. Yeah, here come the reinforcements. The mass wave of Zelts are on the way. He's got his charge left. The Prism as well. He can warp in more Archons, which is what he's really missing. Oof. Oh my god, a brutal storm of the Corruptors. And ShoWTimE is just snowballing out of control. He's busting into the natural. Getting into the mineral lines, and again, as we mentioned before, once the Lurkers went down, that was game. Like, there's just nothing left. Reinforcers, they have arrived from across the map. And the final fight here, GG gets called. ShoWTimE, he takes game number 1. He takes a lead in the series. GG. Whew. GG, well played. ShoWTimE does take a lead. It does take down Reynor here in the first game. Again, Reynor, he was in a very, very rough position here. Winding it back, I should have given a little bit more emphasis to him losing the 4th base. Losing the 4th base, losing momentum, losing drones was a shaky start from Reynor, and you saw that he made the decision to turtle up and to tech up in towards Hive Tech, in towards Lurker Tech. What's really important is that ShoWTimE saw that. Remember, we pointed out with the Oracle. The Oracle moved in, the Oracle got the revelation, and he saw as soon as that Hive started morphing in. Once he saw the Hive, he knew, okay, Fleet Beacon, second Robo, build up into the late game, build up into Skytoss. And we also mentioned that the map was also favoring that defensive play as well from ShoWTimE, where he would not be broken on 4 bases, except for drop play. And I do want to give a shout to Reynor. He did achieve a lot of damage. He killed 14 plus probes. A lot of damage was dealt by the drop play, but he could never deal with the main army is the issue. He was doing amazing harassing, but that main fight, that main army, Reynor, he just couldn't deal with it. Couldn't handle it. GG. GG, well played. With that, that leads us here into game number 2. Going to be loading into Winter Madness. Let's go. Going to be loading in. And spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Winter Madness, we have the Italian Zerg player. We have the Blue Zerg representing Basilisk. Down in the series, we'll see if he can bounce back and force the ace match. Can he bring it back? Can we bring it all the way to game 3? It is Reynor. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the German Protoss player, the red Protoss representing Sentinels. It is ShoWTimE. Here we go. Here we go. We are getting into game number 2. Now, coming into the second game, I will say that this map is going to be a little bit different. Welcome to Winter Madness. Winter Madness is a much larger map of the map pool. Because of that, you have a little more breathing room, you have a little more space, the bases are more spread out as well. Even though I would say that it's relatively easy to get up to 4 bases and 5 bases, the reality is you're much more spread out, right? Your 3rd, your triangular third base, your linear fourth base as well. Your bases are much more spread out, so the aggressing player, imagine Reynor having map control, rotating back and forth and going for run-bys and not being forced to rely only on dropper lords, has a lot more potential to pull apart the defending player. So coming into the late game scenario here, Reynor, he'll have more options, much more options to be aggressive, to find damage, and to be more active here on Winter Madness if we get there. True, like, I don't want to get ahead of myself. That's something that you can kind of, that's one of the pitfalls you can fall into, is like, oh, I'm loading into a macro map, let's be greedy, and then bam, Glaive Adepts. Like, that's, and again, ShoWTimE, he's proven that he can do that. There's a reason why Reynor, he went for a safety Roach Warren last game, because you don't want to get caught with your pants down. You don't want to make assumptions, not against ShoWTimE. So we gotta calm down. Of course, there's always room for risk, and you can always cut corners and gamble if you wish, and it can work out well for you as well, for sure. For now, Hashcast Pool, a standard opener out of Reynor. We're expecting once again to see an earlier Roach Warren out of Reynor. He might go for an earlier, no, yeah, true. I would actually say earlier Eva Chamber would make a lot of sense here. Earlier chamber into earlier upgrades. But we'll keep an eye on Reynor. Likewise, Stargate open out of ShoWTimE. Opening up standard, getting into a third base, and building up into the mid game. The big kind of sign, or the big first tech structure that we're going to be looking for here, is the Twilight Council for ShoWTimE when he throws it down. Does he throw it down as the third base is finishing, as it's starting, or even before the third expansion? So we'll keep an eye on the tech. Likewise, if he opens up Void Ray, for example, that also does kind of throw a wrench in the works. So ShoWTimE has some options. And it is going to be Oracle. So Oracle first. Reynor back at home, going for his third, droning up. So droning with saturating. Something that we have seen rise in popularity in the meta over the past maybe 2 months or month and a half is charge, going for, instead of +1 blink, going +1 in charge. I don't know if ShoWTimE is the kind of player to do that though. It's definitely been something that the Koreans and even MaxFax have been embracing as of late, but I don't know if ShoWTimE is willing to be that aggressive and that assertive, especially with how safe Reynor is being. One of the reasons why we've been seeing that uptick when it comes to +1 in charge is because it is very standard and common, or at least it was, for Zerg players to skip their Roach Warren, and go straight Ling Hydra. Who has the Oracle goes up into the main base, 3 drones forward. Oh my god, 3 drones go down. Nice damage so far. That does trigger a counterattack. Ling's get across the map. Third base is going to be delayed. Not bad. Kills a probe. Takes down the probe. It gets into the pylon as well. ShoWTimE is punished for his aggression. Pylon does go down, and again a nice counterattack out of Reynor. ShoWTimE just got a little bit too greedy. Essentially, ShoWTimE, he assumed that even though he bled out his adepts early on, that he thought that he could deal some damage with the Oracle and also defend in time because of the size of the map, but Reynor, he got across the map in time. Did get across. But talking about the meta, talking about charge, because it was so common for Zerg players to skip their Roach Warren, they were going pure Ling Hydra, and that does leave you vulnerable to these charge timings, and that can get you killed. But we can see safety Roach Warren. Safety Roach Warren once again out of Reynor. Twilight Council Forge out of ShoWTimE. Based on the timings here, this does look earlier than last game, but that's only because the Nexus is late, right? The Nexus is late. The Twilight Council isn't early. So the build itself is a little bit lopsided, but we're leaning more towards Blink. We'll keep it on ShoWTimE. So now we're droning, saturating, Reynor claiming his fourth base. Yep, there. Oh, never mind. Did you see that? For a moment there was +1 in blink, cancelled blink, going into charge. Okay. Now, once again, I guess what we just mentioned is applicable here. So I was curious if ShoWTimE was embracing this new kind of meta and this new trend of rushing into charge. The answer is yes. The answer is yes. He's willing to do so. Once again, Reynor has the tools to defend, but even though Reynor has the Roach Warren, will he make roaches? That's the better question. Nice round. Oh, good. Lings, they surround. They shut down the Adepts. Where are the Oracles? They're racing back. Oracle's out of position. Once again, ShoWTimE is punished. And did you notice? ShoWTimE, he warped in the Stalker. That was very intentional. Very, very intentional here. Warping in Stalkers defensively is typically indicative of +1 and Blink, right? So you can see even here, warping in a second Stalker. Really, he's faking out. He's trying to fake out. Ooh, the Prism got seen. Yeah, the Prism was scouted, and Roach production has begun. Ay, ay, ay. Reynor, sorry, ShoWTimE, he almost sold the story, pap. He almost sold it. But the Prism has been seen, Roaches are on the way, and Reynor, he should be ready in time. Reynor even going for Overlord speed, indicative here of a counterattack of Drop Lords over German Taxi. So hyper aggression out of Reynor. This is really smart. One of the downsides, one of the biggest weaknesses of Charge is that Charge is not ideal defensively. Ideally, when you're defensive and when you're playing against an all-in, you want mass amount of Blink Stalkers to blink and to be as efficient as possible because you're up against an all-in. The problem with Zealots in a defensive position is they're one and done. The Zealots, when they charge in, they will die. And as a defending player, you cannot be wasteful with your army. You cannot be wasteful with your warp-ins. And here comes Reynor. Again, you can see here Reynor, he's been purely making nothing but Roaches once he confirmed the build. Nothing but Roaches, nothing but Lings, and Reynor, he will soon pull the trigger. Just waiting for Roach speed. And Ravagers as well. Here come the Drop Lords. Drop Lords are morphing in. And it's going to be a difficult defense here for ShoWTimE. In the end, his opener and his build fell on its face. So you can see this War Prism didn't achieve any damage. There was no Archon harass, there was no Zealot harass or Zealot pushes, there was nothing. Reynor's pushing. ShoWTimE, he does have Storm. Here comes the all-in. It comes down to the Storms. There's 5 High Templar. And there's the first Storm on the Roaches. High Templar gets caught out. Ooh, losing one. Your 1 Templar falls. There's a second Storm. There's 3 Storms left. And the army's moving in. The Immortals are exposed. Oh, Storm is mainly zoning. Bit of a waste. We're down to, I want to say, 2 more Storms. Nice connection here on the Ravagers. Okay. Very, oh my god. Very nice Storm towards the end. Ravagers are being softened up. Queens are going down. Can we land another Storm? We can! Oh my god! And ShoWTimE holds. Yes, ShoWTimE so far he's holding on, but does he have another Storm available? He does! Another Storm lands. Expensive loss for Reynor. Every Queen goes down, and the Storms, they just keep on landing. Ay, ay, ay. They keep on landing, and you know what's interesting here, and if you notice, but we have not been warping in many Zealots. Not many Zealot warp-ins. We've been making double Immortal, 2 Immortals at a time. Double road production. We've built up to, what, 6 Immortals? Jesus. It's been mainly an Immortal Storm defense. So getting a really nice reaction out of ShoWTimE to not waste money and waste resources. Even here, warping in 6 High Templar. Jesus. Ay, ay, ay. And the all-in has failed. The all-in has failed. Reynor, he backs the hell off, and Reynor is in a very rough position. Ay, ay, ay. Now remember, the soup does lie. The supply is artificially inflated. Oh, it's inflated because of the Roaches. Roaches, they do take up more supply. The supply inefficient. So because of the Roach heavy composition here, the army looks bigger than it really is. That's why the all-in has failed. As we have a hyper-efficient composition for ShoWTimE. Not just that, the drone count is also deceiving. Reynor, he just now joined up to 86. But what's important though are the upgrades. 0-0. 0-0 upgrades. Hive just began. Hydrogen is on the way. The reason for this, the plan was never for the game to last this long. The game was not meant to last this long. Everything here is very late. And ShoWTimE is outscaling. ShoWTimE has a superior army. So what does Reynor need? He needs to buy time. He has to buy as much time as possible to catch up with upgrades and catch up in tech and get to lurkers. The wall! Oh no! Oh my god. The wall does close up. He's not hero baby, but at the same time ShoWTimE is distracted. A big distraction. 4th base is under threat. Storms are coming in from behind. We'll lose 2, maybe 3 High Templar. Yeah, 2 Templar go down. Nice big offset of Reynor. At the same time, Zealots hit the mineral line. Drone's going to be going down. And Reynor, he fails to break the 4th base. And ShoWTimE defends, even gets across the map. And ShoWTimE is pushing. And we spoke about this. Reynor, he has to buy as much time as possible, but here comes the army. And ShoWTimE is breaking out across the map. Ravagers are exposed. There's no banelings here. Oh my god, that is a death blow of an army. How many immortals? 9! We got 9 immortals, soon to be 5 Archons, 5 High Templar, at least 5 Storms. Biles, they do graze the army. They graze the army at the same time. Lings, they get across the map, going for the 4th base. Oh, nice Storm. Nice Storm. There are Zealots at home to defend. Lings, they do nothing. ShoWTimE has got Zealots. And base is going down. Now here come the lurkers. We got 2 Lair Tech lurkers on the way. That's the Hail Mary play. Reynor, he had to buy time for lurkers. They're coming. 7 lurkers are morphing in. Technically, he might be able to hold on with this if they finish. And he might be able to. Ravagers are buying time. Biles are zoning away. Lurkers are moving in. Nice catch here with the Biles. Oh my god. Almost getting an immortal. The lurkers are revealed. The High Templar. Oh god, no. Templar, be careful. Pulls away in time, and now we're getting to Sky Toss. So Reynor, he has defended, but at the same time, Zealots, they do push in towards the natural, sniping the infestation pit. Pit goes down. Pulling Reynor apart. Yeah, Reynor, he's not out of the woods yet. Losing a lurker. Show such revelations. Again, Reynor's doing everything he can just to survive. Meanwhile, ShoWTimE is taking the Skytals, and he does snipe 2. 2 lurkers go down. How many left? 4. 4 lurkers left. Ooh, down to 2 as 2 lurkers go down to the Storms. Reynor, he's running out of lurkers. And they're the one thing keeping him alive. He needs more lunkers, Pappy. Oof. As another expansion goes down. And Reynor, he's treading water. At this point, he's just treading water. Again, this all came down to the failed all-in. But again, I also want to give credit to ShoWTimE because he had a really strong reaction to being scouted. Remember, ShoWTimE, he didn't commit to the zealot attack, to the +1 timing. Once he got scouted, once he was revealed, he respected it enough to back off, to get a second robo, to go massive mortal production, and to get ready and to expect the counterattack and the all-in. So ShoWTimE, he read Reynor very well. As again, Tempest are revealed. Right now, there's no good answer for Tempest. At the moment, Reynor's main focus is getting lurkers out to survive against the ground army, which means there's no Spire. Right? There's no Spire, there's no Corruptors. He went double lurker deck. That's how much he needed his lunkers, Vappy. Oh, going for the Nidus? Okay. Never mind. Boys have been pulled. ShoWTimE is maxed. Yeah, ShoWTimE is maxed out, so limited warp-ins. But the Nidus is denied. Oh god. Brutal Storm and the Ravagers. Tempest, they bully the army. Just getting free shots off. Nidus into the main. Unscouted. Reynor gets in. Yeah, he gets into the main base. Mass lurker into the main. Going for the Hail Mary play. This can work. Going for the tech. So we have to burrow. Queen's moving in as well. And ShoWTimE turns everything around. He races back home. Nice Storm in the Hydras. Again, lurkers are on top of the production. Oh, Jesus, more storms are coming in. And Reynor's gonna lose everything here. He's gonna lose everything. He has to get the hell out of here. Yeah, there's no escape. Down to 5 lurkers. Sorry, down to 6. Yeah, Reynor tries to move in, but again, alas, ShoWTimE is in position. Shuts down the Zerglings. And, I mean, this assault was nice. He killed gateways, killed the Twilight Council, the Stargate. Damage was done. But Reynor can't fight head-on is the issue. Jesus. Oh god, the storms from the low ground. Oh my god. Yeah, they shut everything down. And Reynor, he's down to his last couple of units here. 2 Ravagers, a handful of Hydras. Lurkers, they have that control of the ramp. Oh my god. That's a lot of Templar going down. That's what, 6 Templar falling. Jesus. Those 2 MVP Lurkers. Where's the detection? Again, Reynor, he trades as best he can, but it's still not enough. It's still not enough. GG gets called, and ShoWTimE will claim the series 2-0, taking down Reynor. GG. GG, well played. ShoWTimE, calm down, Papi, calm down. ShoWTimE does pop off, does take down Reynor 2-0. Strong showing here by ShoWTimE. And I don't want to say that Reynor played poorly here, especially game 2, right? Like game 1, sure, right? It's like game 1, we had very little room for error, as we had ShoWTimE being more aggressive early on, catching out the Lings with stasis traps, killing the 4th base and setting the pace, and also scouting his opponents. But coming into game 2, Reynor, he was able to scout, confirm the prism, identify that it was going to be a charge base opener, and react with an all-in. I'm on board. I'm on board with his reaction, with his scouting. The problem was that ShoWTimE, once he realized he got scouted, he pivoted away, right? He did pivot away from his build. He didn't commit to Argon Harass or to Zealot Warpins or to a Zealot timing or anything like that. He just sent his prism back home, threw down second robo, built up his immortals, expecting an all-in. And it worked. Like he read Reynor like a book. Reynor went for the all-in. ShoWTimE, he was more than ready for it. He had massive Mortal High Templar Storm, and when the all-in failed, that was game. That was game then and there. There was some opportunities, as we mentioned. Reynor, he technically did survive until Lurkers, but he was losing bases and drones, and he barely stumbled his way into, or he barely made his way into Lurker tech. And even as he did that, ShoWTimE was even 1 step ahead into Skytoss. So ShoWTimE just got further and further ahead. GG, well played. ShoWTimE does claim the series, and with that, let's catch up on the bracket. Let's go. So we have a very unique situation here, and I do have to set up the matches, but let us head on over and catch up on that bracket. Okay, so these are today's matches here. So ShoWTimE, he 2-0'd Reynor, Reynor 2-0'd SKillous, and Trigger took down BabyMarine. So we did have some people asking about yesterday's matches, of course, and very quickly here, bam. These were yesterday's matches. So we had Trigger taking down Reynor, we had SKillous over BabyMarine, ShoWTimE over BabyMarine, Reynor over BabyMarine, ShoWTimE over Trigger. There were a lot of matches. It's round robin. It's a round robin group stage, and Group D was very intense. There's a reason why we did split this up into 2 broadcasts to cover all of these matches. And at the end of the group, we had a 3-way tie. We did have a 3-way tie here in Group D. So we have a bunch of tiebreakers to confirm who makes it through. Now, the way this works here in HomeStory Cup, it's very brutal. It's very cutthroat. Out of all these groups, which have so many players, only the top 2 advance on into the playoffs. Only top 2. Now, 1 player made it through without dropping a single map. That was ShoWTimE. Sorry, I say map. A single series. ShoWTimE, he popped off. ShoWTimE, he took down Trigger, SKillous, he took down BabyMarine, he took down everyone. Reynor as well, as we just saw. So ShoWTimE confirmed his place as number 1, right? He made it through the group in number one place. Meanwhile, we had a 3-way tie between Reynor, Trigger, and SKillous. Reynor, Trigger, and SKillous, it was like a perfect tie when it comes to map score, and when it comes to head-to-head, and when it comes to series. Like it was just a perfect tie between Reynor, Trigger, and SKillous. So we have a bunch of tiebreakers. Oh boy. So we have a bunch of tiebreakers here. One moment as I quickly... There we go. So we have a bunch of best of ones. I'm going to be setting them up here. But essentially, Reynor, Trigger, and SKillous, it's going to be a battle royale between the 3 of them with purely best of ones to fight for 2nd place. Who comes out alongside ShoWTimE? It's going to be one of the 3. So we're going to be cutting to a short break. Going to be setting up here for Reynor versus Trigger, Trigger versus SKillous, and for Reynor versus SKillous as well. 3 best of ones. Let's go. So we are going to be cutting to that break. And we'll see you soon. We'll see you soon after the break. See you soon, Pappy. See you soon. Give us some time. And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to the HomeStory Cup 28 group stage coverage of Group D. We are nearing the end here, nearing the end of the group stage itself, as we have wrapped up all the regular matches, but now we have something different, something special. We have a bunch of tie breakers. Again, there was a three-way tie for second place. ShoWTimE made it through without dropping a single series, so ShoWTimE, he comes out in first place out of Group D, but we have a three-way tie with Reynor, with Trigger, and with SKillous. Oh, so a three-way tie here. So to break that tie, we have a three-way battle royale. We have time for an FFA, baby. If HomeStory Cup was maybe a little bit more chill, and like now, like back in the day, HomeStory Cup was definitely like a lot more of a laid-back kind of like event. Nowadays, it has transformed into something more serious and something more premiere. Still, of course, a lot of fun. Don't get me wrong. But that's definitely tightened up when it comes to its format. Would have loved to have seen like an actual FFA between Trigger, Reynor, and SKillous. Maybe not the most balanced, of course, because you can gang up on people, and of course there can be other things of that nature. But regardless, to break this tie, we do have a bunch of best of ones between all three of them to confirm the final player to make it through into the playoffs. Let's go. Let us go. The first of many best of ones is upon us. It's going to be best of one between Reynor and SKillous. Let's go. Let us go. Now, previously in the group, Reynor did bring SKillous down, of course, but now it's a best of one. It's one of those things where it is very, very difficult to call who is favored, just because in a best of one, anything can and will happen. Let's go. This morning, in the top left-hand corner of 10,000 feet, we have the Italian Zerg player. We have the blue Zerg representing Basilisk. It is Reynor. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the red Protoss player. The red Protoss representing Team Liquid. It is SKillous. Let's go. Let us go. We have made it. We are here. We are in the best of ones, which is quite rare in StarCraft nowadays. I guess there are some tournaments that have best of one lower brackets, so we do experience best of ones in that way. But again, best of ones, anything is on the table here. One small mistake can cost you the game. We'll see how SKillous will approach Reynor here. I'm expecting to see something more aggressive, something more assertive out of SKillous. That's kind of what we saw from him in the group stage itself, in group stage proper. If you recall, he went into like a DT-based opener, which fell on its face. We saw something more assertive and aggressive before that as well, going to Adepts. This time, what do you have for us? Show us what you got. Here we go. So far, Hashgas Pool, standard opener out of Reynor. I wonder how the maps were chosen, actually. Did we just veto down to one map? I guess, I suppose. Would make the most sense. But now gate expanded cybercore, so everything's looking normal. Standard openers all around. Behind this, especially because we're on 10,000 feet, aggression would make a lot of sense here. If you recall, the rush distance by ground is very short on this map, and we saw that ShoWTimE was able to be the aggressor in his series. ShoWTimE, he was able to be aggressive, able to break the fourth base, and then back off and turtle up on 4 expansions. SKillous, we'll see if he does take that approach as well, or something a little bit different. Based on the pylon placement, looks like a Stargate opener out of SKillous. From there, we can go Oracle into a third base into Plus and Blink, or we could go Void Ray and try to hide some tech instead. As there's a Stargate. So far, so good. Time we weren't sure if we would be there until tomorrow. A lot of us wanted infinite game works. It's fine, it's fine. But yes, true. How do you break the tiebreaker? You have them like, I don't know, play a drinking game. You have I remember they've got like a, don't they have like a soccer setup on the roof? I remember they did that, I think it was like a year ago in HomeStory Cup, where like in between matches that have like players take shots in more ways than one. Oh, meanwhile, speaking of varying up the openers, Stargate into Void Ray this time. Okay, does open up Void Ray, not Oracle. Now the goal here of the Void Ray is to hunt down the Overlord. Hunt down the Overlord's night vision, night scouting, and keep Reynor in the dark, and potentially hide some tech. Void Ray does move out. Lings, they move in position. Void Ray is ready. Tells the Zerglings away. Now there's still an Overlord here parked at the natural. You can see Reynor activate the Overlord and go in for the scout. Uh-oh. The Overlord is making his way in. Void Ray does find some damage, but the Void Ray will not deny the scout though. This one Overlord goes down. Reynor rallying in. Behind this early forge. Interesting. So hold on. So the third base is on time for Reynor. Sorry, for SKillous. True. Third base is on time. Into a forge, into a Twilight Council. Curious here if this is going to be for a standard follow-up or something more committed. I'm curious. It might just be a little bit mistimed. Oh my god. Never mind. Jesus. Before the Twilight Council's even done, double robo. Okay, double robo, double immortal production, I would imagine. +1 in charge. To spend all of our gas on mass immortal would make the most sense. Okay. Let's go. Oracle gets hunted down. Yep, +1 in charge. The Overlord was caught by the Void Ray, by the way. Was caught out. And Reynor, he sees nothing. He sees nothing, he knows nothing, so we're going +1 charge, not into Archons, but into mass immortals. I guess technically this can lead into a Bay, into like double Colossus production, which would be crazy. For now, leading towards immortals. But okay. Let him cook, Pappy, let him cook. I'm ready for it. Yeah, immortal production has begun. Oh, meanwhile, Reynor going for his own all-in. Okay. I don't want to get ahead of myself. So typically, Overlord speed is indicative of drop lords, is indicative of an all-in. At the same time, I can understand the rationale of Reynor just going for Overlord speed just for an Overseer, just a scout. But I say that, I feel like you can achieve the same thing just with an Overseer, but no, there we go. So he's going to be scouting, and we are going for a Spire follow-up. Okay, bold move. Going for the Spire. Reynor does invest in so many Zerglings here. Poking in, looking for damage. Overlord speed is done. And here comes the scouts, or even just the mass Ling drop lords, I suppose. Yeah, the Overlords are hiding. Getting ready for the drops. Meanwhile, the Immortals are not being revealed. They're being hidden here at the natural. Bear that in mind. Overlord's making their way in. Okay, no, Reynor, yeah, he's just scouting. Okay. Where is he? There we go. Drop lords are morphing in. We're going for a massive Ling Dream drop into the main. Let's go. Oh yeah, we have cannons, we have shield batteries. If SKillous had some Archons defensively, then he'd be fine. But he is very immortal heavy. Very immortal heavy. There's a lot of potential here for Reynor. Does he find? Does he see? He does. Wow, he finds all the Jobber Lords. Ay, ay, ay. Thankfully, they have speed. They can get away. But nice catch here from SKillous. At the same time, mutas are amassing. And there's no blink. Remember, there is no blink here for the Protoss. Still going to charge instead, so it has limited anti-air. No Stalkers, no Archons, just Storm. At least for the time being. Again, this is a very immortal heavy composition. Mutas they poke in. Phoenix production has begun. So far the mutas have done well for themselves. They get 4 probe kills. Okay, 5, 6, 7. Oof. Yeah, 8, almost 9 probes going down. Yeah, busts into the main. Getting up to 10. 13. Jeez, 13. 13 probe kills, and we're making more mutas. At this point, Reynor is going, he's committing into mass muta. Mass meters on the way. SKillous, he's going to be stuck at home. Just now starting up Blink. Blink is a ways away. And Reynor, he can just mass expand, get ready for Hive Tech. In my mind, Hive Tech should be for Ultras, just to make use of +2 melee. As +2 is on the way. But we'll see how Reynor does kind of evolve his army. This means they move it once again. Catching out a Stalker. Yeah, there's no battery. Getting one, getting 2 Stalkers. Catching out a Phoenix. Just trading at this point. Yeah, we're just trading. Oh, and I assumed that it was going to be for an Ultra cover, but no, it's going to be for a Greater Spire. And Greater Spire's on the way. Mutas, they still trade well. At the same time, lanes they collapse on the main army. They go for the Immortals. Yeah, mass around the Immortals are on the road. We need Archons. We need Archon, Storm, anything. And we lose 1, 2, 3, 4. Every Immortal's going to go down. Storms, they now come in, but Storms are late. Jesus. So many Immortals go down. That was how many? That was 5. 5 Immortals. Just a very expensive loss here for SKillous. Expensive losses. Difficult to replace. SKillous is in trouble. Again, his build was very quirky and had potential. It's just unfortunate that Reynor didn't play standard. If Reynor, if he was playing Roach Ravager, then SKillous would have been in an ideal position. But it was Mass Meter instead. As here come the Broodlords, they're morphing in. We do see SKillous switching into Mass Phoenix production. Unfortunately, there are no more mutas on the way. There's 12 mutas, but at this point, they're kind of one and done. They've come and gone. Reynor is lacking Corruptors. And without Corruptors, the Broodlords are somewhat exposed. Yeah, Mass Phoenixes are revealed. Corruptor production has begun. And the Broodlords, they siege upon that center expansion. Spores are pushing forward. Yeah, Spores, they move in. One Broodlord should go down, at least one. Just the one though. Again, really nice position here with the Spores. Protecting the Broodlords. Just whittling away at the wall. SKillous just wants us to go Mass Void Ray, and he cancels the Void Ray, is going now into Tempest. That will help, it's just very late. It's just very, very late. Reynor's moving in. Nice transfuse. One Broodlord will still go down. Down goes the Broodlord. And Clutch transfuses. Waiting for Reynor's flank. There's a lot of pieces going down. Muse is going to be thrown away. At this point, they're dead supply. And here comes the main army. Yeah, Lings, they flood in. Nice storms. Very nice storms. Storms connect, but probes are still going down. 30 probe kills. And Reynor, he can rebuild. He can rebuild, he can remake. SKillous, he's slowly building up his Tempest, but again, Reynor's getting ready with his Corruptors. Reynor is still all over this. Now, there is a world where if Reynor overextends, right? Like, we have 9 Corruptors on the way, and if Reynor attacks before the Corruptors are ready, then there's a chance. These Tempests are slowly gaining value here. They're picking away at the army. And they can, at least until the Corruptors arrive. Corruptors are coming. The other thing we're missing here are Infestors. Infestors on Fungal Growths. Yeah, Zlings, they just collapse into the mineral line. Oh my god, massive alien connections. Bailey's to roll in, 25 probe kills. Ay, ay, ay. Yeah, last SKillous is being punished. Again, barely holding on. Cloak was just activated, so no more cloak. And he can push in more freely. Ooh. Rough control with the corruptors, and they're going to be dealt with. They do get one Tempest at least. Get a Tempest. Meanwhile, we have 7 Tempests left over. SKillous pushing onto creep. What you see is what you get. Again, there's no saturation here at the 4th base. SKillous is all in. 38 probes. It's all or nothing. They trigger the shields. And once again, Cloak activated. SKillous moving in. Does get a mineral line. Oh my god. Is also going into the main. So decent damage, but Cloak is about to run out. And here comes Reynor. This time with Vipers as well. Nice storm. Nice storm with the corruptors, but he just gets fully surrounded. High Templar go down, Tempest go down, and with that, Reynor, he will claim the first series here in the tiebreaker showdown. Cleans up everything and will take down SKillous. GG gets called. GG gets called. Reynor, he will claim the series 1-0. GG. He will claim it. And again, I do really like the build from SKillous. It was really quirky. It was very different. Opening up and going into very, very fast double robo. It felt like SKillous was trying to hard counter. It felt like he was trying to hard counter Reynor and trying to kind of lure or hope that he would invest into a heavy Roach composition and try to hard counter, right? And go into Mass Immortals and shut down the Roach Ravager. Unfortunately, mutas, right? Spire into muta play, and alas, in the end, we saw the SKillous, he was caught with his pants down. The mutas achieved so much damage. Then we had that switch into Broodlords, and again, we saw the SKillous, he was just 1, if not 2 steps behind in regards to tech, in regards to responses. GG. GG, well played. With that, Reynor, he does claim the first best of 1, but we have 2 more ahead of us. Up next, we're going to be featuring our next set of players here. It is going to be Trigger up against SKillous. Let's go. Trigger versus SKillous in the PvP. Again, if SKillous wants a chance to make it through and make it into the main event, so then he will need to win this series. He's up against the wall. I mean, this is what I just said. I guess is applicable to both players. True. Is applicable. But here we go. We're going to be loading into Ruby Rock. And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Ruby Rock, we have the Canadian Protoss player. We have the red Protoss representing Basilisk. It is Trigger. And spawning in the bottom right hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the blue Protoss player representing Team Liquid. It is SKillous. Here we go. We are in our next best of 1 tiebreaker match. Again, there's a 3-way tie currently between Reynor, Trigger, and SKillous, and I think technically we could end up in another tie. Like if like if SKillous beats Trigger and then Trigger beats Reynor, do we just reset the tiebreaker again and do we just keep going? Like, do we right? Like if because it's only 3 players. If they go in like a triangle and if they beat each other again, do we just do it again? I guess technically. Yeah, let's go. But we'll see if we can break that. At the time, I think they said they're just doing it. Yeah. Just run it back. Run it back. It's considered a money match. Well, I mean, I say that like obviously because the winner makes it to the playoffs, right? Like it is important. For now, 2-gate opener out of Trigger. Likewise, 2-gate opener out of SKillous. Right, 2 gate openers. Everything's looking normal. Everything's looking standard. We do see a trigger veer off towards the left-hand side, and we're setting up for a... Oh, no, never mind, just scouting. I was like, are we going to throw down a proxy pylon? The answer is no. Oh. You still have my attention. Yeah, just scouting here towards the left-hand side. I believe Trigger did not go into the base. Yep, he did not scout his opponent. So there's no probe scout in the main base. Likewise, SKillous, no probe scout either. They're both crazy. It is very rare to see both players skip on their worker scouts in PvP just because it's so common to cheese and so common to proxy. So very bold move. SKillous, he'll eventually scout with his hallucination, but that's after he's already thrown down his base. If he was up against a 1-base all-in, and Trigger is going for a robo, by the way, then SKillous will be in danger, but SKillous will get a full scout. So Nikita, he does confirm no natural. He also confirms the robo. This is the setup for a 1-base all-in. Or I say setup for a 1-base all-in. We're waiting for a third gateway. Trigger, does he expand or does he throw down the gates? The answer is expand. So down goes the Nexus. So coming into game number 2 here, or coming into this series, SKillous is in a better position, assuming he can defend. There we go. Ooh, locks down the Stalker. Very nice. Yeah, shield battery's almost done. SKillous went for a much greedier build, so SKillous is ahead. SKillous is ahead. He's got a faster Nexus, better saturation, better economy. Trigger, what does he have? A faster robo. This would have been ideal defensively to defend against a 1-base all-in. So defensive opener here by Trigger, he is forced to go for the Prism. The Prism does allow him to harass with adepts. But the pressure's on Trigger, 100%. You can see he's already down 6 probes, by the way. Jesus. So Trigger's in a very rough position. Trigger, he does move out. He does move out. Ideally, he can warp into adepts. 2 adepts, they can one-shot probes. Meanwhile, SKillous settling into blink. As adepts are going to drop into the main. They make their way in. SKillous being so greedy off of a 2-gate opener into a natural into a third. Getting hyper greed here by SKillous. The pressure is on Trigger. Trigger, he has yet to confirm. He will soon. He will now. He will now confirm. Checks the third base. Immortal's on the way. And Trigger has to make a choice. Does he 2-base all in or does he expand? Yeah, rough decision. Throws down the gateway. Ah, all in. Let's go. Now, when it comes to this all-in that we're setting up for, SKillous, he's just now throwing down extra gateways. SKillous, he will have Mass Blink Stalker to defend. Meanwhile, Trigger, he will have 2 Immortals. He has 1 currently, a second Immortal will almost pop out. The Immortals they can make up for his otherwise lack of Blink Stalkers. But it's still going to be a difficult, it's still a difficult position for Trigger. Blink is done in 8 seconds. Can he lock down the army? He can! Decent force fields, gets a Stalker, gets 1. One. Blink is now complete. Bleeds out some sentries. And Trigger, he needs more damage here. So far, he does run the army away. Can he kill the expansion? Can he kill the Nexus? Go for the dive! Oh my god, does go for the dive. Doesn't like the blink. Doesn't like the warp in. As Prism goes down, Immortal goes down, and Trigger, he will lose everything here. Trigger, he is miles behind. He will lose the main army. He will not kill the third. And Trigger doesn't have his own. Doesn't have his own. Trigger, he's got to try to keep going, but again, he just has no army left. The final Immortal goes down. SKillous, he will overwhelm. He just snowballs out of control, cleans up the army. And despite struggling against Reynor, SKillous, he will look dominant here against Trigger. Against SKillous, who's in the driver's seat. A lot of this came down to lack of scouting, to be honest. Like Trigger, he chose not to probe scout the main base, so he made a bunch of assumptions, and he fell behind in those assumptions. And that forced his game state. With Trigger just now is taking his own third. Trying to at least... I do feel like SKillous could have stuck around to force a cancel. So SKillous is just being a little bit overly cautious. I mean, he's still ahead, right? He's still ahead. SKillous is up over 10 workers. Up by 13. He's ahead when it comes to the upgrades. +1 is almost done. Charge is on the way as well. Once again, the one thing that Trigger has over his opponents is the immortal count. It's the only thing. But against a more Zella heavy style, the immortals don't mean much. Stay through in the shade. Okay, they make their way into the main. Trigger. This should not have happened. 1, 2, 3 probes going down. Remember, 2 up, say 1-shot probes. And SKillous out of position, racing back into the main base. That's going to be 5, not 6 dead workers. Can we get 8? 7 probes going down. Very nice damage here by SKillous. Sorry, by Trigger, I meant to say. Very nice damage by Trigger. Trigger now takes a worker lead. Now, bearing in mind that Trigger, he does take a worker lead, but because his third base is so late and the saturation is so late, he still needs more time to recover. Jesus, and he's throwing down just a wall of cannons and shield batteries. Glaives are on the way, going into Immortal Glaive Adept. But SKillous is moving out. So again, remember, SKillous, he has +1, he has Blink, he has Charge. He's had the bigger bank and the better economy for longer. That translates into a larger army. Now, are the cannons and shield batteries, is that going to be enough? Can Trigger hold? Can he hold on? Army just collapse in. Getting on top of the static defense. Trying to get on top of the immortals. Trying to. Shield doing Trigger diving the prism. Prism goes down. Stalkers are exposed, but Zealous they collapse in. Zealous they collapse on in. Shield batteries are out of energy, and it looks like SKillous, he will still pull this off. He will still overwhelm. Takes down every immortal, and there's nothing left. There's nothing left. GG gets called, and SKillous takes down Trigger in the best of 1. GG. Whew. GG, well played with that SKillous. He may have lost to Reynor, but he does take down Trigger, and with that we have 2 players now with 1 win each. We have both Reynor and SKillous with 1 win each, and now that leads us into our third best of 1. Quickly winding it back though, talking and discussing SKillous versus Trigger. Again, Trigger was playing from behind the entire game. He was just playing from behind. Trigger, he chose not to probe scout. He chose to worker scout the southern side and go for a robo opener. That means that Trigger from the beginning was behind in the bases, behind economically, behind in the worker count. And eventually when he scouted, it wasn't just that, it was also the fact that SKillous went into a fast third base. He went into a fast third as well. So SKillous, he took a worker lead early on, took an economic lead, then he went into a faster third base, and that forced Trigger to be active with on 2 bases, but he just couldn't. He was just too far behind. He could not break the expansion. He lost everything in the process. That was game. That was game then and there. The game did progress a little bit further, and we saw that Trigger was able to get 7 probe kills in the main with his adepts, which was impressive. It was very impressive. It was very nice, but it wasn't enough. Even with the wall of cannons and shield barriers, he could not survive the push. He couldn't survive the counterattack. GG. GG, well played. And with that, that leads us into our next best of 1, Reynor versus Trigger. Now, when it comes to this, because both SKillous and Reynor have 1 win each, if Trigger wins this game, then it does force a reset, a tiebreaker match. Otherwise, if Reynor wins this game, then Reynor does make it through into the playoffs. Let's go. Let us go. Spawning in the bottom hand corner of Tourmaline, we have the Italian Zerg player. We have the blue Zerg representing Basilisk. It is Reynor. And spawning in the top right hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the red Protoss player. We have the red Protoss himself, the Canadian Protoss, also representing Basilisk. It is Trigger. See this easy defense, not even close. How? What? Hopefully I was able to explain, but again, Trigger, he was behind from the beginning. If you were watching that game, we were trying to emphasize that there was just a really rough game from Trigger, and he was doing his best, you know, fighting back and playing from behind and trying to, you know, recoup his losses. So he had a worse economy, he had a smaller army. He also lost his immortal as he went for his first push as well. So there was a lot working against him. That's why Trigger needed more time to survive the counterattack from SKillous. We were trying to paint that picture in the lead up to it. But here we go. We're getting into game number 1 here between Trigger and Reynor. Coming into this, as a reminder, Trigger, he did 2-0 Reynor in the group stage. True. How did he do it? 2 base all-ins. He went for a 6-gate, he went for a +1 blink 6-gate 2 base all-in, both in game 1 and in game 2. And that was on 10,000 feet and on Tourmaline. So on this very map, Trigger, he was able to overwhelm and kill Reynor with a 2 base all-in. Do we see another 2 base all-in, or do we see something different here? Now, I would imagine after that series, Reynor has since learned from his mistakes, has learned from those games, and I do not advise Trigger to go for that 2 base all-in. I feel like it would be unwise to do so against a player like Reynor. Whether it would have been Reynor or Serral or Solar, any of the top Zerg players, like they do adapt, right? They do adapt, they do learn from their mistakes. So I do feel like we have to take a different approach here. Show us what you got. Show us what you got. Oh, as it looks like there was a bit of an issue there, but thankfully is resolved. There we go. So we are going to be settling in. So far, hatch gas pool. Reynor, he was forced to take the unnatural, so a bit of an awkward position here for Reynor. An awkward expansion. Stargate opener out of Trigger. Okay. Got my attention. Does open up Stargate. Looking like a standard game so far. Once again, we're just waiting for the timing of the Twilight Council. Waiting for the council. The adept is zoned away, threatening a shade, but doesn't commit. It doesn't commit. Now building up to 2 adepts taking 1-shot drones so they can threaten the mineral line. It's going to be up to Reynor to keep up. He does have a queen and a handful of links here at the natural. So far, so good. Likewise, he has 2 queens in the main. Does have 2 queens. Oracle dips in. It gets 2 drone kills. It does take a lot of hull damage. Not ideal. And Trigger's expanding. So far, everything's looking normal here. Standard game. Okay. Standard build. Oracle into the 3rd, into a 2nd, into a 3rd Oracle. So triple Oracle opener. This should lead into a Twilight Council and Forge and +1 and Blink. Should lead in that direction. Reynor collapsing in, catching out one of the adepts. Oracles are racing back home, and Reynor, does he get all 3 adepts? He at least gets 2. He's gonna get all 3. Wow, 3 adepts go down. Very nice damage here by Reynor, punishing Trigger's move out. Twilight Council's on the way. I don't see a forge. Okay, 3. I was like, I don't see a forge. I mean, there wasn't one. Delayed forge here by Trigger. He had the money for it. He was banking resources, so a bit of a slip up. But again, Reynor was distracted. And from here, it's looking like +1 and Blink. Again, +1 and Charge is still on the table. Let's see. We have the money for it. Okay, Blink. So Blink is on the way. Now, from here, our next kind of big thing we're looking for is gases. Gases at the 3rd base. Technically, there is a chance that we don't take gases at the 3rd. We don't get a 4th expansion, and we throw down a massive gateway explosion and go for a 3 base all-in. Right now, we're building up to 6 gateways. Which is quite a lot. So we have a 6-gate setup. And if we throw down more gateways, that would be indicative of a 3 base all-in. 6 so far. Oracles are breaking forward. We have the answer. Tech. Okay, so Templar Archives. This means that gases are going to be taken, and a 4th base will be taken as well. So Trigger, he's taking up in towards the mid game, and it's been a pretty passive game so far. It's been pretty passive. Oh, okay, as we throw down a Spire. So Reynor, he's the one that's going to deviate. He's the one that's going to cut some corners and go for something hidden here. We do have the hidden tech in the main base. The pressure is on Trigger to scout. Now, thankfully for Trigger, unlike some previous EVPs we've seen here tonight, specifically Skillous versus Reynor. If you remember, Skillous, he was stuck without Blink in his series, and he was woefully underprepared for the Mutas. This time, Trigger has Blink, so he does have a better answer to the Mutalisks. Scouting is still paramount. It would allow him to make Phoenixes. Now, Storms they poke in. As they move in, Lings they move out across the map. Planning to defend back at home. Reynor staying up with this round. Stasis goes up. And Trigger, he gets the hell out of here. He does see the flanking army. He's forced back home, and this all does cause a big distraction, allowing for the Spire to finish unscouted. Oof. Yeah, Mew is completely unscouted. This is a scary position here for Trigger. Again, Trigger thankfully does have some anti-air here with those Blink Stalkers. But the other bases are very exposed. No cannons, no shield batteries. As things they move out. Muta production has begun. We have 9 mutas in total. Mutas are making their way into the main. At the same time, Reynor is not going into mass muta. He's switching into Hydra Lurker. So he's going for a ground switch. Lings they distract. They force a cancel on the 4th base. Mutas they dive into the main. There are some Stalkers in position. Phoenix as well. And the Mutas they just stand and fight. Okay. They stand and fight. 3 probe kills. Not the best trade. Yeah, not the best trade here with the Mutas. But what's important here is that Reynor, he denied the expansion. He denied the 4th base. Keeping the economy low. Could have been worse though. True, could have been worse. Trigger does hold. Now what's important is that pylon is not going to get picked up. What's important though is they're switching into Mass Ling Hydra. Reynor, he's done with mutas. And he still has enough to one-shot probes. Still has 5 mutas. That is still enough. Oh! Going down to 4. Reynor, he starts the hive. The hive is on the way. The lair is on. Sorry, the lurker den is on the way. If given time, Reynor can just snowball out of control with lurkers. Trigger, he has to strike now. Ah, but there are so many hydras. Yeah, the concave is brutal. Trigger, he cannot move in. Mutas, they do slip into the main once again. They're still being active. Zealots have arrived. With the help of the charge lots, Trigger, he might break through. Yeah, Hydras are going down. Hydras are going down. The Archons, they overwhelmed the initial army. Getting on top of the Queen. The boys are being pulled in. Trigger, can he do it? It's close. The Archons are too low. Yeah, the Archons, they had too low shields. Archons are going down. They just need a little bit more support. It was so close. If these Warpins had arrived a little bit sooner, then maybe. At the same time, Mutas, they did pop off. They're still wreaking havoc here in the bases. 13 probes go down. You're barely hanging on. Reynor, I would say. Reynor barely hanging on. Still up in workers. Ooh, Storm is done. High Templar coming in. Unfortunately, that wasn't a part of the main fight. That would have been huge. And Trigger pulls away. As he pulls away, this is allowing Reynor to finish off lurkers. We spoke about this earlier, but the big power spike for Reynor are going to be lurkers. It's a big power spike. So Reynor, he's gotten there. Now he has time to redrone, resaturate, to hive upgrades are on the way for the lurkers. And Trigger, he's just stuck on Charge Archon Immortal Storm. Now this kind of army composition can work against lurkers, that is true, but you do need a robust economy to make this work, right? You have to be able to build up your immortal counts, build up your archons, and build up that death bull of an army. The problem is, because of the earlier assaults, how many Archons went down? Five Archons were already killed. This army's so much weaker. Oh my god. Yeah, Lurker shot's going up. Lurker range is not ready. Leona, hero! Lings, they flood into the natural, they force a recall. Hey, just like hero, Trigger, he defends well. He defends well, but recall's now on cooldown, but no losses out of Trigger. Yeah, he's doing his best hero impression. Sure. Wall's open, but sustains no damage. So at all this, Reynor, he's slowly building up his lurker count. He's now up to 12. Jesus, 12 lurkers. Trigger does have Skytools on the horizon, but lurkers will hit first. Wings, they collapse on the high template. They force out storms. A nice flank. Lurkers at the high ground. Oh my god, massive shots. Getting 1, 2, getting 4 high Templar. 5 Templar go down. Massive pickoffs. And Trigger, he was out of position. He was out of position. Losing so many high Templar. We have more Templar warping in. They need time for storms. They need time for energy. The energy just is not there. As Reynor, he commits in, zoning back the army, pushing towards the expansion. Nice storm out of Trigger, but he will lose another high Templar. Yeah, 0 storms left, 0 storms remaining. And he just trickles in. These are the final units, 1 Archon, 1 Immortal, and GG gets called. GG gets called. Reynor overwhelms, and Reynor, he will take the game and make it through into the playoffs. GG. Whew. GG, well played, Reynor. He does advance through. Reynor takes down SKillous in the best of 1, and it takes down Trigger in the best of 1 as well. GG, well played, Reynor. He will advance on in 2nd place out of Group D alongside ShoWTimE. But it went down to the wire, it went down all the way to these best of 1s where anything can and does happen. Trigger had an interesting approach. Trigger, he was a lot more mellow in his approach to go for a standard early game and standard mid game, shifting gears quite heavily compared to his previous series versus Reynor, and unfortunately didn't really have too much success here. He was bleeding out his adepts, the oracles didn't get much damage done, and unfortunately failed to scout the spire. The mutas, I wouldn't say they dealt game ending damage, but it built up over time. It distracted Trigger and allowed Reynor to switch into his Hydras, which did catch Trigger off guard. If you remember, with that first move outs as the mutas were distracting, Trigger did lose his 4th. His 4th base was denied, and that heavily slowed down the Protoss. It did slow down Trigger, slow down his own army, slow down his own tech. If you remember, it did force a counterattack out of Trigger, and Trigger, he pushed with 5, no, was it 6? He pushed with 6 Archons, he pushed with Immortals. This was pre-storm, if you remember. He moved without any high tempo, without any storms, and he was trading well. If you remember, Reynor had to pull the boys. Reynor, he had to pull the boys to defend, and if we had a War Prism with the army, if we had some Zealot reinforcements, if we had a little bit more, Trigger, he almost ended the game then and there. Almost did end it. This was again as Reynor was trying to get ready for lurkers, but wasn't quite there yet either. Like, this was pre-lurker, but also pre-storm, and Trigger barely didn't break through. Reynor held, and then Reynor snowballed out of control with his 12 lurkers. GG. GG, well played. But again, there was definitely a window of opportunity there for Trigger. Regardless, congratulations to Reynor, as Reynor does advance on alongside ShoWTimE through the group into the playoffs. GG. GG, well played. Aye, aye, aye. As again, if Trigger had won that game, then we would have had a 3-way tie and we would have just reset again. Would have been another reset. Let's catch up. Let's catch up on the bracket. Aye, aye, aye. Whew. But again, that does wrap up our coverage here for Group D for HomeStory Cup. That was Reynor taking down SKillous 2-0 and also 1-0 in that tiebreaker show match. We had, or showdown, we had Trigger taking down BabyMarine, ShoWTimE looking dominant over Reynor as well in that 2-0. In a very different way, of course, and a different approach compared to Trigger. And then we had the pure best of 1s. Pure best of 1s, Reynor, Trigger, and SKillous. In the end, Reynor barely comes out on top, and does advance out in second place. Congratulations here to Reynor. And that wraps up our group stage coverage of HomeStory Cup 28, and that will lead us into the playoffs tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to be back here with the playoffs. We are going to be covering day 1, day 2, day 3. It's going to be a 3-day coverage of the playoffs, covering every single game, every single match. The scary thing, or the intimidating thing about the playoffs, of course, is it is double elimination. A lot of matches, a lot of games are going to be taking place. It's going to be an intense couple of days of StarCraft. Speaking of, we can have a look at our schedule. Bam! As you can see before us here, we are here Friday morning in Australia, or in South Korea. So we just wrapped up our morning broadcast here of HomeStory Cup. You can see that Saturday and Sunday at this very time, or not at this time, but at the same start times today, we're going to be back with the playoffs with day 1 and day 2 on Saturday and Sunday, and I believe we're going to be wrapping up on Monday. So we do have 3 days straight of HomeStory Cup playoffs. Meanwhile, we have more StarCraft as well. Saturday evening we have Masters 1 Open. That's going to be at 7 p.m. KST. That is going to be in around 5 hours time tomorrow, if that makes any sense. So in around 29 hours will be Masters 1 Open. If you're curious, what is Masters 1 Open? That is our monthly tournament that we've been running for many years, ever since 2018, I think. Ever since around 2018. Masters 1 Open is a tournament for Masters players. It's in the name, Bob. It's in the name. It is our monthly amateur tournament where we do feature and showcase players of lower MMR. It is MMR restricted to, I believe, 4.7k MMR, and there's also a ladder game requirement as well. So you have to be an active player to be able to have I should say, to be able to have a more accurate representation or reflection of your MMR and your current skill. So I'm just giga tired. So that is going to be on Saturday. That is going to be MSO, Masters 1 Open. So again, a tournament for amateur players. And for those who don't know the history of the CranKy Ducklings, we've been casting StarCraft non-stop full-time since 2020, but we started running tournaments and also casting back in 2017. That's when we started our amateur events. And fun fact, back then, pre-COVID in 2017, we were running tournaments for Diamond players and Masters players, and there were actually some players that you know now that we covered back when they were Diamond. Players like Mixu, players like BabyMarine, who was in this group. We did cast BabyMarine, we did cast Mixu, Oreo, Ruichi. There's like a handful of players that we covered back in the day, back when they were Diamond and Masters, before they went pro, before they went GM and semi-pro and professional as well. It's not like everyone kind of went that route, but we were able to see a couple of those players kind of rise through the ranks, which was really cool to see, which we really did appreciate. I mean, that's the reason why we run these amateur events, is to give players a reason to compete and a reason to improve. Not saying that everyone makes it to GM and makes it into the top players in the world, but you know, we find the diamonds in the rough, Pat. Diamonds in the rough. We at least give players a reason to be motivated and a reason to improve. So again, that's the goal of our tournaments. That's their role. I want to say there's some other notables. Oh, GG Machine. True. GG Machine. He's another one where we casted him as a Diamond player many years ago. Before he also, like nowadays, GG Machine, he's what, like top 5 Zerg, or at least top 5 Zerg in Europe, I should say. Yeah, top 5, top 6. For sure, 100%. Este GG Machine. Is there another notable? We didn't cast Fiant. We did not cover Fiant when he was younger. God, I'm sure there's another that's like slipping in my mind. Sure, there's another. Of course, Oreo, Starduck. True. We covered them when they were Diamond. They're Aussie players. But yeah, with that, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. We do appreciate the support, and again, we'll see you guys over the weekend for some more StarCraft. Also, right, the other thing, of course, is Tuna Cup. Tuna Cup is going to be on Sunday. Tuna Cup is our weekly open tournaments, so we do see the best of the best players in the world competing in Tuna Cup. Meanwhile, amateur players competing in Masters 1 Open. If you want to support us, you can do so via Patreon, !Patreon in the chat. Our Patreon does fund our tournaments on a regular basis. The Patreon does help us grow the prize pool and grow our tournaments and support the players even further. So you can help us out via Patreon if you wish to eventually grow our tournaments to the point where we do have monthly finals as well. That is my hope, at least. So you can help us out and help the scene out via Patreon. Otherwise, you can follow us if you, for example, want to see some of the previous games. If you want to see yesterday's matches, if you want to see Trigger versus Reynor in their group stage match in HomeStory Cup, or some Rongi Cup, Thunderfire, for example, Thunderfire tournaments. Little League Cup, regular weekly tournaments. It is all on YouTube. Exclamation mark socials or exclamation mark YouTube in the chat. You'll get a link to all of our socials. We have Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Mastodon, Blue Sky, Discord, and YouTube. We upload to YouTube on a daily basis, and we also stream on YouTube as well. We co-stream on Kick, on YouTube, and on Twitch. So we are on all 3 platforms, and you can check us out there if you are unsatiated, if you want some more StarCraft, if we aren't live. Plenty of StarCraft on YouTube. Again, we cast more StarCraft than anyone else out there, more than Morty, more than Steadfast. We have the quantity, and we have a little bit of the quality as well. Little bit, pappy, little bit. Otherwise, thanks for watching. And we'll see you guys over the weekend. As you can see with our schedule, we don't have an evening broadcast today. We typically do. You can see the podcast at 7 p.m. KST, MSOs at 7 p.m., STCs at 7 p.m. But tonight on Friday, we have the evening off. So just a heads up, just as a heads up. This is the only cast for the day. We'll be back tomorrow with the playoffs of HomeStory Cup and with the rest of our tournaments. So see you tomorrow. See you tomorrow, pappy. See you tomorrow. Otherwise, stick around. We're going to be giving another StarCraft streamer a raid. Who is live at the moment? Who is live? Who can we send everyone over to? Let us quickly have a look here. Un momento. There aren't many people streaming StarCraft at the moment, I don't think. Let's see. We have Enki, papi. True. We have Enki El Hermoso. Looks like he is hosting a talk show and podcast with Swachi. Okay. We have Cian. Cian is casting in Brazil. In Brazilian, in Portuguese. We have Dave. True, Old Dave is live. Looks like he's running some show matches. Oh no, sorry, he's casting Nation Wars. Okay. Neuro is live. Bond is live. I want to give Bond some love at some point. Bond. We'll give him some love. All right. Well, with that, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. We're going to be wrapping up, and we'll see you guys tomorrow for some more StarCraft. Otherwise, give whoever we raid some love, give him some support, give him a chance. See you next time. Ciao, papi, ciao. See you next time.